Hey guys, I hope everything's going great for you. You are continuing to journey this ascension with all of us. I know that although we can't, we don't spend, we're not together in this in close proximity. Many of us are traveling with our partner. Some of us are traveling alone and feel very alone. But I really felt some things from the Spirit that just needed to be, I felt that I needed to put out there that you are never alone. I know that you know that. But even more than that, there are legions of angels and spirit workers, even aliens from other civilizations who are parked like, I always see like a stadium full of bleachers filled to capacity with those who are just watching our every move. They like literally line up the road on the roads that we drive down and the offices that we work within, just watching us and applauding this great ascension that we're working our way through. So good job. I want you to know that. That's what I feel. If I feel anything from the other side, it's just that you guys just blow us away. You guys are just killing it. I want you to know that. So a little bit more downloads. Again, we've said in the past where many of these things happen for me at least in the evenings when I'm supposed to be sleeping. I gotta get back to work the next morning, but it's just not possible. So I give up, and I get up and receive these amazing downloads. I felt the Spirit is saying, some of the question that I put out there was, how can we begin to move into the fifth dimension? And what does that look like? How can we do that here in this third dimension? And how can we aid in that transition? And I felt the Spirit, I've heard this in the past, but a little bit of a spin on it. So allow yourself to build the fifth dimension into your everyday life. In my QHHT, it said, as we dream it, we build it. And then we'd actually literally dream it night after night. And one of the nights, we would just wake up there. We'd wake up in the new fifth dimension. I know that for others, it might be a process, and that little things come up. And for myself, I gotta say, one of those things is the synchronicities. I had some miraculous, crazy synchronicities this past week that can't be explained other than just completely miraculous. And I see that stuff taking place on a daily basis, as well as other indications that we're doing something more than just living life now. We're actually literally transitioning from this life into something greater. Our past 3D world was controlled by the outside influences that determined our schedule, our activities, and even our perspective often on life. The clock told us what our schedule was and what our next activity was to be. The weather told us what we would wear each morning, and if we look forward to walking to work or to the store or spending some time outside, or if we were going to hide inside all day. We lived in anticipation of the weekend to actually enjoy life, and our age told us how tired we were in the evening after working all day, and looking forward to retirement and actually being able to live our lives for the last 10 or 12 years, because the rest of it is all spent trying to survive. We were just affected on a moment-to-moment basis by time and weather and any other outside influence, including sometimes relationships. But it's time, and it's time that we can change that now, guys. It's time that the fifth dimensional thinking can kick into play in our lives, and we can allow that to happen day to day. As I heard that we begin to feel from our hearts, and that our hearts are literally the movie projector of our lives. So as we feel into our heart, any moment, whether it's the middle of the night or lunchtime, it could be in the middle of a rainstorm, and we can just feel complete and utter bliss. It doesn't matter if it's Monday morning or Friday night when we're leaving work. We can feel bliss, and we can, every single moment is as sacred as the next. We're going to allow fifth dimensional thinking to replace those old beliefs. When we live from that perspective, any possibility exists at any time. At this time, the world would begin to value the qualities that we have been developing as light workers that, for the most part, have felt ostracized from the general population, felt a little bit like outcasts. We are now coming to a place where we will be viewed as teachers and not the mavericks and the misfits that we've seen ourselves as all these years, that we've been developing those qualities and aptitudes within ourselves, been quietly nurtured by the Spirit in our quiet time, and this is the time when those will be set forth in the middle and the front stage of our world. So congratulations on passing and through those classes and tests. I asked the Spirit that if after Ascension it's possible for us to return to the third dimension to assist others across the bridge. I specifically think for my biological family that I care a great deal about, and I wondered, how I could, even as I transition, I never feel like I'm, we're just going to ascend and we're just going to say, see ya, we're done, hey, and enter into our bliss and forget about the rest of the world. Love doesn't do that. Love always looks back over its shoulder and cares just as much for the rest of itself, which is the rest of our brothers and sisters as ourselves. So I did hear that it is possible to return back to the third dimension, but not many would ever want to do that, and at the same time it's not even necessary. It's even more possible to influence from the fifth dimension. We can still be perceived from the third dimension. Those who are in the third dimension or perceiving the 3D eyes may see us come back into their life and wander in, and we might have got there by teleportation. They don't know, we might be have time traveled, all these different things that can happen because time and space is not limited in the fifth dimension. We might be perceived from those third dimensional brothers and sisters as angels, and others might perceive us just as human, just as we were, like nothing ever changed. I remember this happened with Jesus, as I'm reading the stories of Jesus after his resurrection, that the disciples mistook him for several other people, and it was when he kind of ascended that they were like, oh, that was Jesus. We totally missed it. And I remember also once when he came back and said, hey, just don't touch me at this point because I actually haven't ascended. And my take on that is that he's still in his fifth dimensional body, and for them it might have been shocking to realize that he wasn't solid like they were. The cool thing is that as we're in the third dimension, we can be exactly what is needed for those people we love. We can provide healing. We can be exactly what they need. We can visit in a dream state, teleport them to see them at any place, at any time, to communicate with them, or show up in a hospital to heal. And I realized that we are definitely called as light workers. And so if that's the case, we weren't called here to be light workers to ascend and get out of here. We were called here to love and support our brothers and sisters and aid them across the bridge. And that's really maybe the center, at least for me, of my calling. Others have other callings. But I remember that when that Jesus came back to earth, that he cared a great deal for those who had seen him leave and thought that he was dead. He wanted them to know that he was still there and still interested in their life. And I see the very same thing for us. We may actually even be perceived as Jesus as having died and moved on, but we're going to still play a part and a role in the lives of those people whom we love. I always feel the Spirit saying, hold on to that empathy. Don't ever concern yourself when somebody cuts you off on the road and say, we're gonna move on. We're gonna leave you behind. That never happens. And as we move into the higher dimensions, forgiveness is just as quick as anger. In fact, quicker. That we find ourselves in love with each and every aspect of humanity. This is the beautiful part, guys. I want you to hear this. When we return to the third dimension from the higher dimensions, we literally step right into the shoes of Jesus. We're no longer trapped in our third dimension, but we come to bring healing, inner and outer healing, deep, profound love that we can reach into somebody's life. Can raise the dead and walk on water and change water to wine, and all the great amazing things that Jesus said that we have accounts of, and I'm sure there's many that we don't have accounts of. But the beautiful thing that Jesus said is that greater works will you do, because I'm going on, I'm moving on, and I'm leaving this rest of this journey for you. The laws of the third dimension no longer hold us when we transcend and when we ascend, so we can come back to this world that we've vacated and become Jesus incarnate. And I don't say it in any sacrilegious way, but we're carrying on the Christ consciousness. We literally are the return of Jesus in the third world. We walk it step by step, by active love to active love, from healing to healing. We become Jesus incarnate in this world. I believe that the beautiful thing about that is that it's not just going to be one or two, but I believe that this world will be mobbed by love. That love will find its way into every nook and cranny and do everything it possibly can to set free any lingering doubts of how loved the rest of the world is. Those who might be left here in the third dimension might feel abandoned and forgotten, and that cannot happen. It can never happen. I think this is one of the most beautiful and amazing callings, to be one of those who are able to walk through the earth and just love it back into its first state, which is, again, just love. We're setting free the third dimension to move into the fifth dimension. Again, these are the most exciting days of history. I'm so glad that we're on the same team, and I can't wait to see you out there bringing love to this world alongside me. Bless you.